Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor, your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And on this week's show, we are going to be previewing the Dubai duty-free Shergar Cup at Ascot. As well as that, we're also going to take an anti-post look at the Juddmonte International Stakes up at York. And I will be on the search for winners in my usual company of Declan Ricks and Sam Boswell. Dec, how's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. Been very busy with the Racing League and the Shergar Cup this week. So lots of content on there for readers of attheraces.com, and a big week for the channel as well. So we got a little taster of the Shergar Cup feel with the Racing League last night. So hopefully it'll put us in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, like you say, the team concept, then we're transferring from the Racing League to the Shergar Cup. No end of work for you, Dec. But Sam, how's your week been?
Yeah, very good. Racing-wise, quite pleased to see Valbon now qualified for the Melbourne Cup. If anyone followed me in on taking the price anti-post before Royal Ascot, we're doing OK. A long way to go yet. Obviously got to get there. And busy week for us bookmakers with the Premier League back as well, and plenty of racing action to get stuck into. Yeah,
like I say, just sport coming out of our ears. It's all just chugging on again, but very well done there with yourself with Vauban. He looks a good thing, doesn't he, at this stage for the Melbourne Cup. But before we get into the preview, a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction anyway. And also a reminder to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Right, we have a lot to cram into this week's show, so we had better kick on. Now we start with the third race on the card at Ascot. This is the Dubai duty-free Shergar Cup Challenge, a 0 to 100 handicap for 4-year-olds and over a mile 4 at 2:45. Layakel heads the way, Dec, but who do you like?
Yeah, look, as we're going to chat about the whole way through here, seriously competitive racing here at the Shergar Cup at Ascot tomorrow. I just thought at the prices, I thought Scampy was actually the best handicapped horse in the race. He's been in great order this season now, to be fair to him. You know, he's ran on some big days. He obviously won at York at the start of the season. He ran on Derby Day in a handicap there, and he was obviously a runner-up then in the Old Newton Cup. I think if he came straight here from the Old Newton Cup run, I think he'd probably be favoured. Now, he did run in the John Smith's Cup the last day. A little bit disappointing, but I think it's easily to excuse that run. Slow away, got behind, drop in trip in a race where none of the horses that were held up could really get into the race. I think going back up to 12 furlongs is going to be a big plus. Would like some drying weather. The ground, never mind trying to back winners this on Weekend Winners, it's trying to predict the weather has been the biggest battle, I think, for the show. I hope some drying ground will come. That will suit him. Saffie Osborne takes the ride. She's having a great season. She's riding to the crest of a wave, riding very well in the Racing League, and I'm hoping Saffie can transfer over that form to the Shergar Cup for the girls on Saturday.
Yeah, like I say, another double then that she managed to get last night at Chepstow in the Racing League to go with her treble on the first night of the Racing League, so she can just translate that back to Ascot. Yeah, then she looks pretty formidable in the girls' team. Sam?
Yeah, all about the favourite for me. Pretty unoriginal, I know. Obviously, William Haggas got the two at the front of the betting, one of which is the reserve, who won the race last year as a 4-year-old. Layakel, for me, is a really interesting runner. The 2 runs at Ascot so far have yielded a second and a first, and I think that they're good runs. Ground-wise, Declan's alluded to it. We are a shade in the dark just because I was surprised by how soft it was already showing as. Hopefully we'll continue to get some drying ground, but very versatile, this horse, in terms of ground condition, very unexposed. Like I say, similar-ish profile to the horse that took the race 12 months ago, albeit he was a little bit less unexposed. But the drying ground, no issue. And jockey-wise, obviously, that's a factor here. João Moreira comes in for the ride. Absolutely no concerns about him. What a brilliant career he's had, and obviously looking to ride on a little bit longer, but fingers crossed he can claim a win here for me and the favourite.
And I'm with you as well, Layakel, here too, because, like you say, I feel kind of unoriginal to be starting with the favourite, but he does just have that really solid chance. And I thought what we've just seen on the video there, that was a really fair run for him. Now, he was well backed for that. That was on the 15th of July, but it was his first run since October. Now, he did have a couple of starts where he was a non-runner, though, and he was taken out on account of the ground. So he probably was fit enough last time out. the betting reflected that as well, sent off as a 5-4 favourite. But as you could just see then, he was being carried right all the way to the line. He wasn't shirking the issue whatsoever, only going down by a neck to a rival who was well treated off of a plummeting mark as well. So off of a £3 higher mark here, a little bit of a sting, which is never ideal. But Layakel hopefully can win over this course and distance for Sam and I. And Dec, just to reiterate,
Scampy to fry his rivals.
To be fair, we gave him 2 lots of previews to think up with that pun, so we did buy him enough time for that.
I do apologise.
Never apologise for such a thing. Anyway, if you have any puns or any selections, do let us know in the comment section below as we move on to our next race. This is the 320. This is the Shergar Cup Mile, a 0-105 handicap for 4-year-olds and over a mile. At 320, the market is headed by Perotto. But Sam, what's the play?
Yeah, I really respect the favourite here, but 11-4, I kind of wanted to try and find some each-way value against him. And I don't think you'll find a more informed trainer at the moment than John Quinn, running at around a 40% strike rate. And I just felt that Empire State of Mind ticks quite a few boxes for me here. And, you know, he goes well on most surfaces, so I'm not going to have to panic about the rain if we get any, and if it dries out, it doesn't worry me. His best run this season came off a £1 higher mark and a decent handicap at Newmarket in April. Since then, he ran poorly at the Guineas meeting, but had a fair excuse for the bad run at Newcastle, just kind of got a little bit into a pocket and couldn't get out, and I kind of quite happy to forgive that run. Last time out, Ascot was a step back in the right direction, ended up 5th of 9, and I think dropped £1. It still looks hard. He had a brilliant season last year, but clearly is a horse that goes well. And I just think off the mark now, there's a little bit of each way juice there, and around 15-2. Just thought the favourite's just that shade too short for me.
Yeah, it is a wide open race, but he is priced up probably accordingly on what we're expecting anyway. So taking him on, though, is Sam. Dec, what are you doing? Yeah,
I'm with Empire State of Mind as well. I'd echo a lot of what Sam says. Bit of a stranger. I think I have an awful lot of respect for Perotto because he's in good order at the moment. He can be a tricky ride, and I don't see an awful lot of pace in here. He's a bit like Hannibal Lecter, this fella. He's got lots of gear on him to try and slow him down. So I have an awful lot of respect for him, but mainly because a lot of these horses I don't think are at their very top of their game at the moment. Empire State of Mind, I think maybe I'd be the first to admit now he's not like thrown in or very well handicapped. He is very, very consistent, and I think the switch to the round course, which is obviously softer, is going to be a big ace to him. He's actually won around the bends plenty in his career. He is drawn wide, so I'm hoping Frankie can just work his magic and slide him into a nice prominent position early. I think that's what these great jockeys can do. Horses that are generally held up or need mid-division, they can get them to still run their race from a different kind of ride. So I'm hoping Frankie will be on his A game from draw 10, I think. So yeah, self and Sam are teaming up again here with Empire State of Mind.
Which is always a terrifying prospect, isn't it? But I'm going to take on the pair of you two. Horses priced up at the same as your selection at 15-2 at present, but that is at Escobar. Now, you just said, Dec, yourself there, where you don't think that your selection is all that well handicapped. Well, I don't really know what horses in here are that well treated. And Escobar likewise, but I'm just hoping that things will fall right for him. I mean, he feels like he's been around forever. He is a 9-year-old, which is old enough for a flat horse as well, but hopefully this is another good price to scoop for David O'Mara and the aforementioned Safi Osborne, both of which who have been in great form of late. Escobar's last win did come at Ascot, over 7 furlongs though, in October last year in a heritage handicap. Now, clearly he hasn't run to that level so far this season, but he's now £5 below that last winning mark. And he could never figure last time out at Goodwood. That was the Golden Mile heritage handicap where any horse that was held up had absolutely no chance. We know Goodwood is very often a front runner's benefit. Again, that came to the fore there. He was slowly away, he got behind. So I'm not going to be too harsh upon that. Now, perhaps he isn't the force of old. We talk about the ground. If there is any juice in the ground still at Ascot, that will suit him all the same. So hopefully things will just fall right for Escobar, but you are both with Empire State of Mind though. So, right, they are a little bit of divided opinions there anyway. But again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section as we move on to our next race. This is the Shergar Cup Sprint, another 0-100 handicap for 3-year-olds over 6 furlongs at 4:30, which sees Quinault bidding for an astounding 7 time. He's an absolute winning machine. So, Dec, are you brave enough to take him on?
I am. Well, maybe brave or silly, depending on what way you want to approach it. Look, he's been in incredible form. He's had a wonderful season. I just wanted to take him on at the prices. That was it. I'm hoping the combination of softer ground, another rise in the handicap, and maybe being taken on for the lead, pace pressure on a stiffer track might just all catch him out. And I just kind of went through the race and I thought it really set up well for Batal Dubai. I think he's going to need a similar ride like this from Joe Marrero. I thought Oisin Murphy was brilliant on him this day, because if you remember, there was a really stiff headwind this day at Northumberland Plate Day. Horses who Heath cover, I think, were really benefited from that. And this ride from Oisin, I thought, was incredible. Actually, go on to attheraces.com, you can vote for it. Ride of the month this week,
just gonna say,
if you really want to, if you think it was that good. Again, I just think the race is going to set up nicely for him. I think the BHA handicapper lobbed him up £4 for that. I thought he could have lobbed him up a little bit higher. The Chip Chase, which is obviously a group sprint, run over the same course and distance on that day. I thought with times comparisons he could have gone up to maybe even 98, but he still gets to run here off about 94. So I think he's still well handicapped. He's very well bred, bright, profitable. The Dam side of his family, a lot of class in there. And Roger and Harry Charlton, now, while they had a slow start to the season, they've been buzzing now for the last couple of months. So lots to like about Batal Dubai.
Yeah, Batal Dubai, and we know who you're voting for Ride of the Month then. Anyway, that cleared that up. Sam, who are you siding with?
Oh, it's got to be the Win-A-Lot, Quin-A-Lot, hasn't it? I mean, this horse, Stuart Williams, first of all, deserves insane amount of credit. To do what he's done with this horse is so... It deserves more of a storytelling, and if he goes in again on Shergar Cup Day, I'm sure we'll all be able to eulogise about his training efforts. Obviously, risen through the ranks, and you've got to feel a little bit sorry for Washington Heights, who's bumped into him on a couple of occasions and come off second best. And I suppose at some point the run will end. Do I think there's more to come? As long as the ground dries out, I definitely think he's the right favourite. That's the only question mark I had going back through. Everything seems to be coming on that slightly faster side of good ground has been to his benefit. That's the one concern with him. He'll run his race. I do think they've had to do a lot of work when you read back through the quotes about just getting him to settle a little bit. But Luke Morris should have no issue here. He's an experienced jockey. I've got no concerns about him taking the ride. And for me, he's the best horse in the race. And I really would love to see him win again, because I think it's such a fantastic story to have these horses that just rise through the handicap ranks.
That Newmarket form is already starting to stack up already, isn't it? I think there was another horse won at Sandown last night, which was Thursday night again from that race. The form does look really strong.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And that's why I'm also with him as well. Why didn't I think of Win-A-Lot? That's a tabloid headline just written right there. I missed a trick there. But yeah, Quin-A-Lot, though, the winning machine for me as well in his bid to bring up the 7-timer. It's just astonishing, isn't it? He started this run off of a mark of 59. He's now rated 97, not even 4 months later. It's just something we don't see nowadays. But I still don't think that the handicapper has caught up with him yet. And clearly, if he wins this off of this mark, then he is going to be a group performer going forwards. He's got the group entry at the back end of the season now anyway. So hand will be forced. But it looks a live possibility because, as you've just said about the form from last time out, Millstream, who he beat in a tight finish, but they were clear of the third, went and bolted up in a listed race at Deauville on Sunday. So that form just looks rock solid. And as you say, they've done a lot of work with him, just getting him to settle, to kind of build up into his frame as well. So it's no surprise why he has been able to just see this level of improvement throughout this season. So yeah, Quin-A-Lot for the pair of us two then.
Batal Dubai for me, please.
Perfect. And again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section. I'm sure that plenty of you will have no end of different opinions in that race in particular. And perhaps you will have differing opinions in our next section, because part of the fun of the Shergar Cup is, of course, the team element as well as then the silver saddle element. So we're going to have a look at some of the markets for these events, because the top team is always interesting to try and figure out. I mean, it's pretty trappy in the market. We have Europe currently as the 2-to-1 market leader. So Sam, are you staying loyal and being patriotic to GB and Ireland, or looking elsewhere?
Yeah, you flick through the history books and GB and Ireland's record bar last year when they won it, it's pretty patchy. But I think this year, that 9-4, I must say, Athos, our trader who's had to price these up, it's quite a challenge to do this, and the Silver Saddle we'll come to in a minute. Fair play to him. But for me, that 9-4 looks a little bit too big, going through who GB and Ireland have got. In every race, I felt like they had something that would be there or thereabouts for the win part, and some decent each-way plays as well. Obviously, we've got such a strong depth of competition here. These markets, we'll try and keep them up throughout the competition and change them as we go. But for me, I thought GB and Ireland would be the bet over Europe as favs.
OK, then. Like I say, in-running plays then could be a potentially interesting angle to follow through the day as well. So, Dec, where are you looking?
Yeah, I would say GB and Ireland teaming up together. Who would have thunk it, eh?
I know, exactly.
I don't know, am I allowed to say that with my accent? But I respected them. I thought Team Europe, I thought your trader had it right. I thought they were the right favourites. You've got Dettori in there, Pellier and Muzabayev as well. I thought just kind of they had strong, kind of consistent rides the whole way through. Frankie's the captain, Mr. Ascot himself. Not a market I had a really strong opinion on, but I thought your trader had it right there in Team Europe being the way to go. So, yeah, I'd side with the Fabs here, if that's all right.
I'm going with the outsiders. I'm going rest of the world, so I'm looking beyond. Oh, they haven't had the best prep for this, though, because Vincent Ho, of course, was ruled out because he had the injury then. So he couldn't come over to the Qatar Goodwood Festival, couldn't come over for the Shergar Cup. But he has obviously got a very able replacement in Matthew Chadwick. But I think that they're overpriced at 4-1 here. They have the favourite, the second favourite, and the fifth favourite in the opening contest, the favourite in the third, a very good chance in the last, as well as plenty of other horses who should be right in the mix. So for me, 4-1 looks a bit overpriced.
You do know what's going to happen here now.
Yes.
We put up 3 different teams and the girls are going to bolt up.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I will feel more, I would be more distraught than anyone by leaving my fellow females in the market here. But yeah, it's written for itself, isn't it? But hopefully we can get the winner of the Silver Saddle then, the top jockey competition, of course, where, again, this is a really competitive market that we have priced up by BetVictor's trader. Luke Morris, though, is the 7-2 market leader. Muzabayev is at 6-1, 7-1 about Frankie Dettori, and the informed Safi Osborne at 8-1, 9-1 bar. So, Dec, who wins the Silver Saddle?
Yeah, well, I was praising the BetVictor trader for the last one. I think he might have got this one a little bit wrong. Definitely in terms of Joe Moreira at 9-1. I think that's I'm actually going to back this myself now. Might have to get Sam to do it for me. But I think he's overpriced at 9-1. He's got a good book of rides. Bond Chairman, Law of the Sea, La Yakel, who you guys like, Foxtal and Batel Dubai, who I really like. You know, he's the kind of rider I could see getting a good tune out of Law of the Sea, who's got course form here, get those magic hands, nice prominent ride, and, you know, being to the fore in those staying contests is never a bad thing because they're usually run at a tactical gallop. It'd be nice to see him maybe win this, not just from my pocket, but he's had a tough year himself, Joe Moreira. I think mentally and physically he's been struggling. He was talking on Sky Sports Racing yesterday about his hips were giving him awful trouble, and then I think that was just kind of leading him down the wrong path mentally as well. So great to have him here, and I hope he has a good day on Saturday, but not just from my pocket.
Not just for the pocket, for the sentiment as well. And I agree with you. Where fair play to John Moreira, he's been so open about those mental health issues he's been suffering with as a result of that hip injury. But we know the talent he is, multiple champion jockey in Hong Kong. And he has such a good record as well at the Shergar Cup, because when we last saw him here, it was in 2018. He rode a double in that. He managed to get a winner the first time he took part in 2013. And as you say, he wants to go on for about another 18 months. So even for his own kind of fairy tale farewell tour, this would be fantastic to see him picking up this prize. So Joe Moreira for both of us too, Sam?
Yeah, Luke Morris is the right favourite here for me. I mean, I've just had a little flick through all his rides. He has to be the favourite. When you go back through just on the maths alone of looking at the prices of his runners, 11-2 for Tis Marvellous. Grand Vizier, I love that horse, 6-1. He's probably due a win as well. Andaleep, 6-1. Infesto as well, 6-1. And then Quinalot, who we've already spoken about, looks like an absolute nice banker to end his card of rides. So if you're taking a bigger price, I think you've at least got something running for you going through there. But others to mention, I mean, Hayley Turner at a double-figure price. This is her event, isn't it? Team captain when she's won it. Twice she's won the Silver Saddle as well. 10-1 could be huge. And who'd have thought Tom Marquand to be 12-1 for any kind of jockey challenge? Obviously, he picked up the top rider prize at Goodwood. He's got a bit of a challenge on his hands, I think, with some of his rides. But there is one, I think, that's overpriced that I'll mention in my long shot a bit later on.
Oh, nicely teed up, because, like you say, that we are going to be heading over to the Sky Pad in due course, where we're going to be looking ahead to the Juddmonte International, as well as giving you our best bets for the weekend. Now, we thought we'd take an early look ahead to the Group 1 Juddmonte International Stakes. This is at York, of course, on the 23rd of August, a star-studded lineup. Hopefully, this is where we get to see Paddington running again next. But Sam, who are you siding with at this stage?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, looking through that field. The first thing we've got to ask ourselves is who's going to run? And Paddington, in a normal season, I'd question, but connections seem to be very positive. I was lucky enough to be at Goodwood when he won, and the conditions were attritional. But did he have that hard a race? I'm not so sure he did. He came back in and he looked pretty pleased with himself and you know, fit and well. And at 6-4, this horse to me has just answered every question so far this season. I think a little bit more improvement will be needed here, but at the trip, I think he'll excel. I'd love to see him back on some slightly better ground as well. I do think, just want to see him really put his stamp on it. But the sky's the limit. I mean, Ryan Moore made me laugh afterwards. He was quoted as saying, doesn't matter what he runs on. I think he said he could run on snow and he'd still win. So maybe St. Moritz would be on the scorecard one day. But like I say, it's really curious just to see how aggressively Connections have campaigned the horse. It's incredibly refreshing. You know, we've seen this horse more than we've seen Constitution Hill in about 3 years. You know, in the space of 3 months. It's amazing, and I think they should be applauded for it. If he comes here, he's not going to be a 6-4 shot. Go back through the list and have a look for yourselves. There's plenty of horses you can question whether they're going to come here. I know there is still possible doubts about him, but if he turns up, he's going to go off a much shorter price on the day, and I think I'll chance my arm that they're going to try and do something very special with him.
Yeah, and we even said this when we were doing the anti-post look then ahead of Goodwood, weren't we, where we said about that price of all these horses. Well, if a race cuts up, then he's not going to be that. That's exactly what transpired. He then went to Juddmonte, taking a similar approach here, but a bigger price. Again, the same 6-4. Then about Paddington, Sam sticking with him, Deck, but who's siding with?
Yeah, look, I think it'd be interesting if we can throw up the market again there, and just like obviously the first thing with an anti-post market is we want to know who's going to run and whatnot. You know, Desert Crown has missed kind of so many engagements this year. King of Steel, I'm not sure he's going to go here. Goose Road and blew out last time out. Luxembourg, is he going to go? Nashua looks a miler to me now. Bay Bridge was the one I was kind of interested in at around 14-1, especially if we had a wet build-up. But I just kind of couldn't get away from Mostadaf. Now, I'd be the first to admit now I kind of maybe didn't give him the props he deserved for that performance out in Saudi Arabia earlier in the season, because he disappointed a bit in the Shima Classic then at Dubai. But I just think that was a case. John Gosling was kind of blaming the trip and taking on a horse like Equinox, going toe-to-toe with him. I just think he put up such a big performance in Saudi that it left a little bit of a mark. The key to this horse is freshness. Now, he hasn't run since he won the Prince of Wales Stakes, and look, I get it, people will probably say, oh, he's only beaten Luxembourg and he's only beaten Adyar, but in a pretty tactical race he gave them a big head start and he absolutely picked them up so easily, quickened away from them, bolted up while having a wider trip into the straight. I think the weather forecast and the weather build-up is going to be key, because if it goes soft I don't think he'll run, which could mean Sam's on a really good price there. Could see Paddington going off maybe about 4-6, but if we have a dry build-up, which I think as race fans we all want, because that's a big clash. But I will say I had Paddington running to 123 as his peak performance. I had Mostadaf running to 127 in the Prince of Wales Stakes. I think of what we've seen so far, Mostadaf is a better horse in terms of ratings. Don't shoot the messenger now. Who would you want as a stallion prospect and who's had a better season? Absolutely no doubt, Paddington.
Yeah, so like you say, so giving evident credit then to Paddington, but just that alternative view, which is everything we like on this. And then from my own perspective, of course I saw Paddington, but I did think to myself, can I put him up again as favourite for an anti-post selection? But Sam, you made the perfect case for him, why he's good value at 6-4 at present for that. But I just thought, you know, I'll offer the alternative angle here. Started to go through this race, and the first horse that stuck out to me, Alflaila, evidently. And after his success last time out at York, this was the intended target. But of course, that was on that magical day for Shadwell. But with them having Mostadaf in here, unless the ground, like say, really does go against Mostadaf, Alflaila's not likely to go here. So he is now 14-1. He was a bigger price previously, that it might have been worth taking the chance on him. But now that he's been clipped in, I kind of just think he's probably not likely to go. So it probably is a silly anti-post selection. So On that form line, the horse that I wanted to look at, therefore, was My Prospero, who Alflela beat last time out very marginally. Now, he's a big price for us, about 33-1, the last time I checked. Now, of course, I don't think he's going to beat Paddington if Paddington does turn up here. But for the anti-post play, I thought that was probably a good way to go. The Lockage at the start of the season, far too sharp for him over a mile. He did disappoint me in the Prince of Wales' stakes at Royal Ascot, beaten by decent horses at the time, as we say. But last time out, yes, he was overturned as evens, but I almost think he got hoodwinked in that, because there was a horse in between him and Alflela, and he had that horse beat in a ding-dong battle. Then Alflela came right down towards the Sandside rail, and I don't think he actually saw him until late on, and then he didn't have the time to get going again.
Yeah.
So I'm not too harsh upon that. York form, for me, just translates best of all rather than any other track. So for an alternative view then to Paddington, My Prospero for me. Sam?
Paddington for me at the front of the market, a shade boring.
Not at all, not at all. He's nothing boring about Paddington. Deck.
And most of that for me. So, yeah, 3 shouts, hopefully one winner in there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hopefully so.
Against the bravest, I think it's fair to say here.
Absolutely.
And different perspective and different ways to play anti-post markets, of course, as well. But that is for Juddmonte International. We will move on, though, to our best bets of this weekend. And, Deck, I'm going to kick-start with you, please. Nap next best and long shot.
Yeah, and the nap we've already discussed. It's going to be Batal Dubai. I'm taking on Sir Win-A-Lot there with this, because I just think the race is going to set up perfectly for him for the Magic Man. Lots of pace to run at, a stiff 6 furlongs. I'm hoping that kind of pace and the stiff 6 with a little bit of juice in the ground could see the favourite turned over. Katob, now he's going to be the next best. I haven't backed him myself yet, because I needed to rain at Haydock. This horse, everything about him suggests he wants rain. The way he moves, he's by Kingman, the distaff side of his family, lots of soft and heavy ground winners in there. I just think if the rain comes, he could go well. His form earlier in the season, he ran in that strong maiden at Newmarket behind Passenger. I think off around 85. He's still well handicapped. For all, this is going to be a much different test to him. But look, it's his first time in a handicap, and he's unexposed, trained by William Haggis with a decent pedigree. And then Foxtail, I still cannot believe I came down on him for the long shot. Now, our friends at BetVictor are offering 12s. I think we'll get bigger than that on the day. I'm hoping so anyway. But I just looked at the Shergar Cup Mile, and there's lots of horses in there who are not at the top of their game. This guy was really classy in his heyday. He was rated as high as 115 once upon a time, but the real key to him is his record fresh. He goes really well fresh, and I don't see a lot of pace in the race. Lately in his career, he's been making the running. If they let the Magic Man loose on a horse who's fresh and well for the Andrew Bowling Yard, I could actually see him causing a little bit of surprise. But I think the BetVictor traders are onto him a little bit. Got 12-1. I'm hoping to get bigger. I will want bigger, to be fair.
Yeah, and would it be a win-only bet then for him? Would you happily play him?
I think that kind of decision, you'd have to see how he's paraded, how he looks, and what the market is saying, and how he goes to post and that, because I think it's definitely a race that I can easily see him, running into the 3 or the 4. But at the moment, I'd probably win only, yeah.
OK, then, but like you say, watch him in the preliminaries. There's always good advice.
Exactly.
For Foxtel. Sam, your own best bets.
Yeah, I'm going to kick off, Kate, by taking a trip over to Ireland. There's a really good card at the Curragh, and we start with, I think, this is just the race of the weekend. Make sure you tune in and catch up the highlights. The 440 at the Curragh is the Phoenix Stakes, and yeah, Porta Ventura has been perfect so far. 3 starts, all coming on varying ground, from heavy right the way through to good to firm. And Donegal O'Brien's horse, I think, has just been going from strength to strength. The form of the Albany really looks to be working out as well. I think you've got the 2nd and the 4th of one since. The 5th came 2nd in a Group 3 next time out. It's pretty solid. That day, she did get the pace to aim at and the right side at Ascot, but I'm convinced she can get the better of her 2 market rivals that are shorter than her here, and I think it'd be a really interesting race. Make sure you watch that. That'll be my nap. Next best is going to be GB in Ireland to win the Shergar Cup. I'm fairly sure Luke Morris is going to have a good day, which will help in turn GB in Ireland to land the Shergar Cup at 9-4. I think they should be favourites, and they're not. And the long shot, this is quite an interesting one. We're going to go with French Invasion at, I think, 18-1. Hopefully, again, a bit like Declan's selection. I think it might drift a little bit. Listen, this horse ran absolutely no race at Goodwood last time out on ground that was probably too soft by the trainer's admission in the notes afterwards. Lost a shoe as well. That was his first start in a handicap, and I just think dropped a couple of pounds for that run. Really intriguing outside of the field. Tom Marquand's picked up the ride. That's not anything that I'm particularly disappointed about for a long shot. I think he could just outrun his price and maybe hit the frame.
And he's very well named for the Shergar Cup, isn't he? French invasion. We do like angles like that in, if you wanted to play it that way. So interesting angles, though, with all three of those bets, actually. Now, my own best bets, my nap, I'm also going to Ireland, similar to Sam as well then. But I start in the Group 3 Phoenix Sprint Stakes over 6 furlongs, and it's Comanche Falls, hopefully, to bring up the hat-trick for me. Now, it's been well documented that the Irish sprinting division isn't great. British raiders have been able to take advantage of that, as shown by the likes of Art Power and now Comanche Falls, who won over this course and distance on his penultimate start in listed company before winning the Hackwood last time out at Newbury. Proved it wasn't just beating weaker Irish opposition before. Back to the Curragh in another Group 3. Can see him bring up the hat-trick. Now, I'm also going to the Group 1 Keeneland Phoenix Stakes over 6 furlongs, and I'm going with Unquestionable. Now, I think it's fascinating that Ballydoyle are electing to run him here instead of River Tiber. I didn't know which way they were going to go with their 2-year-olds, but I'm pleased that they're putting Unquestionable in here because I think that they feel, or Aidan O'Brien really feels, that they have a chance of reversing the form with Bucanera Fuerte, because they finished the 1-2 in the Group 2 Railway Stakes. It was a bob of the heads, though. I don't think he was as well positioned as the eventual winner throughout the race. And as I say, I just think they want to get that revenge on their rival from last time out. And my long shot, oh, goodness me, I feel like I've been stitched slightly with the price. 10-1 about the Wizard of I, hoping for a bit bigger, potentially might be getting bigger on the day. Now, he was a big price last time out. He ran a really solid race, though, at Goodwood, to be fair to him. And again, I was kind of hoping for, again, a similar price here, but he wouldn't have escaped too many people's attention because he was being well touted for last time out. Still went off at that big price, but ran really well. Anyway, he's been given a further £2 back off of what was an already feasible handicap mark, and hopefully he can show much better form on this 8-day turnaround for the Wizard of I. For me, right, that is everything from us on this week's show. A big thank you to Dec and to Sam for all of their hard work, as per usual. A big thank you to you for watching. Remember, you can catch all of Ascot's action live on Sky Sports Racing and keep up to date with the racing on the attheraces.com website. We'll be back next week where we will be looking ahead to Newbury and Ripon, as well as many other tracks as well. So make sure you join us again for that.